All right, guys, so in the last video, we installed that driveway and widened the driveway before that so that we can get trucks and trailers up here. So today, I'd like to start on digging for this foundation. So me and the homeowner came here yesterday and we just marked everything out, laid out the house exactly how we want it to be. So now that it's all laid out, I'd like to get going on just digging for this foundation. That's going to be the main part of this video. And we have rain coming later today and for the rest of the week. We're supposed to get many inches of rain. Kind of very uncommon for this time of the year around here. But I'm thankful for the rain instead of having a drought. So nevertheless, we got to get going on this so we can get as much done as possible today. And then we will continue on once the rain is gone and everything is settled for a while. So the dimensions of this building are, it's 20 feet wide, 28 feet long, and then there's a front part that juts out 7 feet and 12 feet. And I don't know if you can see the paint marks here, but you'll have a better understanding later on. So normally I like to move dirt well away from the site just to get it like totally out of the way and not have to deal with piles sitting right around the foundation. However, on this job, I don't think it's really efficient to do that because I have no other place that I really need to use it, and it's just going to take a lot more time to move it. So I think what we're going to do is just have 2 excavators on this, both at the same time, digging and just putting it to the side. And pretty much anywhere up here is fair game. We will do most of the work after the foundation is dug from below. So there shouldn't really be any reason to have any vehicles or machines up here until the foundation is poured and backfilled. So once it's poured, then we will use some of the fill to backfill, and the rest we'll have to ship it out somewhere, but that's later on. Right now, I'd like to get this foundation in as soon as possible. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start digging. Come that way a little bit. Yeah. Right there. Okay, so here's where we're at right now. I discovered that the level that I want to be at is going to be exactly the same level that the bedrock is sitting right now. So I'm basically just scraping bedrock the whole time, and that makes it nice and convenient because I don't have to keep checking the level. It kind of is what it is. It just happened to be that it was within like 2 inches of where I really wanted to be, but it also varies too because the bedrock is not exactly flat everywhere, but it for the most part seems fairly flat, which is nice. So I got at least 2/3 of it dug, and it's before lunchtime right now, so we're making really good progress. That's excellent. You know, I kind of figured the worst for this because of all the problems we had with the driveway and all the boulders. I think it's sandstone. I couldn't do anything without digging up a boulder over there, but so far over here, the biggest boulder I've had was maybe like a 2 by 3 foot rock. And that's not really that big of a deal. So this is actually working out really well, and I actually think that we're down to shale or some sort of bluestone. Whatever it is, it's like flaking off. It's nothing like the boulders that we were dealing with over there, where if you broke them apart, it was just like powder. This is actually like flat flakes that's coming off. So I think we're just in a different type of rock. And if we do have a high spot, it will be easy to hammer because that stuff is easy to hammer. So that is really nice. We did cut a little entrance in over there just so that we can bring in the skid steer, or possibly even that excavator with the blade would work too, and just come in here and just sort of smooth everything out, get it fine-tuned. And so we're gonna be starting that right now actually, and then Hopefully by the end of today, this thing will actually be dialed in and ready for some stone. And I didn't bring any stone today because I figured we wouldn't get that far, but it almost seems like we might. When you're working with 2 people, it doesn't pay to have somebody on the stick all day making sure that you're exactly down to the inch of where you need to be. It pays, it's so much more efficient to just slightly over dig it and do it mostly by eye, and then just put a little bit more stone in when you're done. What you don't want to do is over dig it and then fill back in where you over dug. Not with native dirt anyways. You want to use the stone, number 2 stone. If you use crusher run, you got to compact it. Number 2 stone, you really don't. So that's the way I figure it. Unless you got like 4 guys on the job, 3 guys on a machine, and 1 running the stick, it doesn't pay to have a guy on the stick. If 2 or 3 guys, it just doesn't pay. You just keep them on machines, much more efficient. Just come in, spend an extra $100 on stone, and fill in the little low spots with the stone. It's so much more efficient that way. That would be fine. So then let's bring it out a little bit. I guess I got to remark that. Go out like another foot. That way. Right there. That's good. There, there. All right, so it's 20 foot this way, so we'll do 22. Now, you can put it right on the ground. Right in the corner here. Alright, do the same thing over here. That's it. Alright, so after getting about 10 inches of rain last week, we are here and hopefully we can do something today. We had like catastrophic floods. So we got a few places that washed out. All along the edge it kind of washed out. We gotta kind of cut that back in. Yeah, even after giving it a week of sunshine, it's still pretty mushy right here. But as long as we put some number 2 stone on and then compact it, wait for it to dry, compact it again, it should be fine. This is all bedrock right here. All right, so we're pretty much done over here. We got the footing all nice and level and where we need. Everything inside of the footing just kind of is what it is because it's going to be raised up another 8 inches. So I'm not worried about like grading this out. That would be just kind of redundant. But at least the perimeter footing is where it needs to be. And over here, we're just right on top of bedrock. So the only thing up here that I can do before this building permit that I've been waiting for is going to be to dig for the walkout part of the basement here. So that needs to be 4 feet below everything else so that the dirt can be down to the bottom of it. Because that's the level, because that's going to be about the level of the ground around it, but the footings need to be 4 feet below that. I don't think I'm going to get 4 feet because it's all bedrock right here, but I also haven't actually dug it yet, so I'm just sort of assuming. But I didn't want to even start digging until I get this situated with the machine as much as possible. That way I don't have to come back in here once I have a giant hole in the way. So at this point, what we're going to do for the rest of today, we're going to go down to the bottom where I told you guys that I was waiting on a tree guy to expand the bottom of the driveway where it meets the road. So the guy came and took down the tree. He did not bring his wood chipper and chip the tree, which I'm not exactly happy about because I sort of donated my time and some materials to do that. And now I just have more work I have to do for free. But it is what it is. Let's just go get it done. So I'm gonna bring my big excavator down to push down the rest of the tree, and we're gonna bring up all of the brush and branches and stuff like that, and then we can start grabbing the rest of everything that's there, and then we can put some crusher run, which I have in the back of my truck, down afterwards. So it should be a quick and easy thing, and I figured this video is kind of short anyway, so let's just include that. All right, so the last thing we need to do here, well, I don't really need to do it, but I'm sort of volunteering to do it, is just clean up all this debris here from the roots and whatever other junk there is here on the side, just so it looks better. Again, I donated my time for this area down here and materials, so I don't want to go crazy, but I also don't want to leave it looking like this either. So we'll sort through this stuff, and anything that's junk or just needs to be removed, I'll just put it in the back of my dump truck rather than putting it on the ground and taking the skid steer and using that and then having to redo the driveway again. Still probably gonna make a little bit of a mess, but it's better than doing it with the skid steer. That's what I was aiming for. I just got to collect all this stuff here. Good to go. But that was a disaster before. Now it's not. That's where the foundation is going to be. Remember, our brush pile is over here. That truck is not going to dump that brush. Even if I put the tailgate down, it's not going to do it. And the tailgate is such a pain to get down and then put back up again. So I'm actually just going to very quickly make a little ramp on this pile. I'm going to sit on top of the pile and just pick the stuff out real quick. It'll only take a couple minutes. It's much easier than dealing with that tailgate. I'm still going to have to pick this stuff out even if I use the tailgate. So. utilize what we got. Still get a lot of questions about why I didn't burn this stuff. So I guess I should address it now. To burn this stuff, I would be babysitting this pile for a week, feeding it, watching it, and feeding it and watching it, and that's a lot of money that the customer would have to pay for it. And he doesn't mind it being here. We already discussed that before I started anything. He doesn't mind it just being here, and maybe when he gets some money next year or the year after or something, maybe we can do something with the pile. But shipping the pile would not really be that convenient either, because as you can see, a lot of this stuff has dirt in it, and I'm pretty sure a good-sized wood chipper does not like dirt going through it. So at least half of the pile has dirt in it. So we really have to burn it, and also because of the dirt in it, it's not going to burn that well. So it's going to take a while. We have to babysit it. You can say, well, why don't you just do it while you're building the house? Well, that's fine, but I don't see the need to breathe in smoke all day, every day for a week while I'm building. And also, what do you do at night? Because it's still going to be burning at night. So there's no real great option for this. I understand that it's unsightly here, but at the same time, when there's enough property, it's really not that much of a concern. Especially if that's what the homeowner wants, then that's what the homeowner wants. You could say, oh, it's unprofessional for you to leave that pile there. Well, that's what the customer wanted. What do you want me to do, you know? I can see it costing $5 grand to sit here and get rid of this pile, but that $5 grand could go into some luxury windows or something, like something that's actually going to do something. People are saying, oh, well, it'll attract critters. Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. But what are you going to do? You're out in the middle of the woods. There's going to be critters no matter what. I think that's enough where I can dump it now, though. So we got some of that pile moved out of the way, so we got a lot more room in here. That pile came all the way out to there before. We got drainage that actually works. It's the only thing keeping this thing from being a swimming pool when it downpoured 10 inches of rain last week. So as much as I'd like to dig out for this entrance area and the walkout basement part, it doesn't make sense because I don't have the drainage to be down below that. So in other words, if I dig for that part right now, 4 feet lower than it is right now, it's just gonna fill up with water and there's nowhere for it to go. I have drainage for this, no problem, but there'll be at least 2 feet of water in the bottom of this if I dig it. So it doesn't make sense to do that. I'll do that just before I actually pour the footings. So in other words, I'll probably form up all the footings there, have everything ready to go. At the last minute, I'll dig for this, form the footings, and then pour it all together. And then that way, as long as I have good weather for a few days, nothing will be a problem. Because it's not gonna fill up with water unless it actually rains. We don't have a high water table here or anything like that. So, but the building permit is like at least a month out right now. Things have been getting massively delayed. I should have had that building permit like 2 months ago, and now we're looking at another month. So 3 months behind on the building permit. I've been doing everything I can to bug people and get things going, but it's just not been happening. So, yeah, so we're kind of stuck right now, can't do anything else. This is just as far as we can go. I could form for the footings, but I don't have the plans yet. I don't have the engineered plans yet, which is exactly what I'm waiting for right now. So, I don't want to form up for the footings and then find out that I need to change something. So at this point, we're just absolutely maxed out with the most we can do here. Can't do anything else. So at this point, what I'm gonna do is go over to my spec house and start building that. And hopefully we'll get that thing mostly framed in, weathered in, and then we'll probably come back here and do the foundation and start immediately building right after that, most likely. Once I put in the foundation, then we'll worry about the waterproofing and drainage, and gutter drains and backfilling and a little bit site work just to kind of get everything out of the way. And by that time the concrete will be set up enough to actually start building, and then we'll do that. So that's the plan. So I guess I'll catch you guys on the next video.